Hello. I'm going to go over the rooming activity in widescreen view for this video. I've gone over some of the functionality, and sorry if I repeat myself, but I just wanted to specifically go over the rooming activity. So usually I will use rooming before I go in to see a patient at the podium outside the room in my hallway. I'll just briefly kind of go through, kind of get the visit started, get an idea of what they're there for, look at their vitals, etc. So in the rooming activity, you have all the different sub-activities within there listed at the top, and you could jump to each one of them just by clicking on each item when it highlights. I tend to scroll, so I'm going to scroll down. I see that they're here for a well visit, and I see their vital signs, and there's no hearing and vision, and our mark all as reviewed section, which we all like. And I just want to show you a couple things. Some of this was already available in 2010, but a really easy way to review the problem list. For instance, they're here for a well visit. You want to talk about making sure that you've gone through their current problems or their chronic medical problems at their well visit, for instance. So I see this patient has a couple of things. So I'm going to click on the problem list, jumps straight to that particular activity. And if I click on mild persistent asthma, it shows me that this patient has been on Flovent in the past. And so I can ask, how's the asthma doing? It's good. They're not using albuterol too much. It's the springtime when they tend to have a lot of exacerbations. Mom says that they're running low on Flovent. I can go into the Flovent and just straight here from this activity, go ahead and just reorder it. And I can either sign it now or sign it later. I'll wait and sign it later when I'm signing the orders that I'm going to have more orders in this particular visit. And then I just want to show you something else. For instance, recurrent acute otitis media of both ears is another problem. You can see there's an overview that someone created. It could have been me or one of the specialists. I see that they were evaluated by ENT in 1224. Tubes were recommended. I can also see the last assessment and plan note. So this, remember, assessment and plan note, or here we could create a current assessment and plan note. So I'm going to put in here for this current assessment and plan for recurrent otitis of both ears for today. So .td, enter. I'm going to say no episodes in the, spelled episodes wrong, in the last 12 months. All right, I'm going to show you how this is going to help us later on. And then back in the mild persistent asthma, I'm going to create a quick current assessment and plan note. And this is just for today's visit for this particular problem. I'm going to say albuterol less than 2 times per week. And no recent ED visits for exacerbation. And the reason I'm taking the time to do this here is when I go into my well note, then when it populates the problem list, it's going to show these little notes that I entered, and it shows that I reviewed these particular items at the well visit. So I'm going to go back into the rooming tab. And now that I've looked at the problem list, I've taken care of each of those things, I've refilled what they needed, and I see each of these, I can mark them as reviewed. And then we've ordered these to be hopefully intuitive. After markers reviewed, you have history, so you can scan through their history briefly and just look at whatever you may or may not need to see. You can scan through it quickly or take your time, obviously. And then you have your smart sets. So for this particular patient, I would choose the 6-year-old well visit smart set. And pretty much at that point, I'd be done with the rooming tab. Obviously, there's some more activities beyond this, but this was set up. We put these items in this order, hopefully so that if you don't need to use any of the items below here, you can be done with the rooming activity after the smart sets. The idea is that everything below smart sets, you can see allergies, medications, verify pharmacy, other historical information, nursing notes, are ones that activities that you would have jumped to before. So for instance, medications here, if I was working in here, would have jumped down to the medications. I could have jumped down to the medications history. Or for instance, allergies, if I would have clicked in here and clicked allergies like this, it would have jumped into the allergies activity. Sorry, going back into rooming tab. So the idea is that all those activities after smart sets are there, but you don't necessarily need to look at them for every visit once you've gotten past the smart set section. So that was basically what I wanted to show you for rooming. And then, so just briefly, so you can see, I'm going to create a quick note. And this should be in our current well visits, but .problo, and you put enter. And what that does is it puts in the active problem list, and it also includes the current assessment and plan, and the overview note. If this isn't currently in our well visit notes, we'll be updating it. But that way, when you're in a well visit, in the rooming tab, you've gone through, you've put in your current assessment and plan. So from today, I put this information about the asthma, I put this information about the acute otitis media that's recurrent, and that shows that in the well visit I address these issues. I don't have to document it anywhere else in the well visit. So this should already be a hyperlink in well visit, and if you do it prior to going into the note, it'll already be there. If you go into the note first and then go back and address some of those problems, then you can just obviously refresh the note, and then all this information will be in here. And that was basically what I wanted to show you in the rooming tab.